So another group content that recently came out for the PS4. We talked about this on previous episode. The Division, the new DLC dropped called Underground. This is a paid DLC, um, and this is actually a huge content update for the game right now because it was it's been lacking content for a while, for a few months, but because the last thing they did were these high value target missions. But this current content is actually the first paid content they dropped, and it's actually pretty huge. So the Underground DLC is consists of your team members going into the New York subway system, underground New York, and actually battling enemies and finding loot and getting out. Essentially it's similar to the rifts in Diablo 3. It's where you're just going into a dungeon, you know, dungeoneering, killing people, and then getting out and finding loot. Just like Diablo 3, there's parameters that they have. One of the parameters might be, uh, you don't have a radar. Another one might be, there's one that's called mad skills, where your character has two skills that it can trigger, but with the mad skills parameter, you can only trigger one, and so when you trigger that one skill, your other skills on cooldown, so you can only use one skill at a time. And it's actually very substantial. The good thing about this DLC is that it scales to your group members and your party level. So if you're running around with only two people, it will be challenging enough for those two people, but it won't be brutal. Uh, or as I found out today, we actually did three people on one of the challenge modes, and is actually on challenging is actually pretty difficult. But one thing they really do push in this DLC is team composition. Now, in the Division, you can have different roles. You can be a tank, so you can have a lot of health and a lot of armor, or you can be the guy who does a lot of damage. You can have a high DPS, so you have snipers and assault rifles that do a lot of damage, or you can be the guy who supports people by having high skills, so you can up your skill power and be the guy who runs around rezzing people, but also throwing a flashbang and stunning enemies. Now, running through these dungeons, you really need to have a really good team composition as far as balancing out, between people who can stay alive quite a bit, but also do damage and also support you, because there's no checkpoints. There's very, very little in the higher difficulties. There's very little ammo crates to reload all your ammo, and also when your team wipes, you actually get kicked all the way back out to the base of operations, and you have to start over. So especially if you're playing on higher difficulties, it can be especially frustrating and brutal. So you really have to work together to run through these small dungeons. Um, Again, the carrot in all this is getting better loot, getting better getting better armor, getting better weapons. Some of the loot drops are actually really interesting. I know I was talking to Chuck and Dice about this earlier, because he has no idea. He's never played the Division, and I was talking to him about armor sets. And one of the cool armor sets they actually have is when you get four pieces of armor for the certain armor sets called the blind armor set. When you get four pieces of it, it gives you a bonus where every time you kill somebody, it drops a flashbang grenade where they die. So you can consistently have these enemies blinded by your flashbang, which is great. A lot of these armor sets might be overpowered, so they're probably going to get adjusted soon by the developers. But if you play the Division and you're looking for new content and you want a new activity to run around with your group, I would highly recommend the Underground DLC. A lot of teamwork, a lot of chances to get better loot. The carrot has been increased on this, and it's actually really fun. And as far as the environments, I think they actually did a very good job of making things look different. I know the first mission I was doing, I was talking to Chuck and Dice about this. It actually looked like a rave club. Like, I shit you not, there was like I wish I would have just had glow sticks and I would have been just like dancing around in this rave club. And they had the music and everything. Like they had glow in the dark paint on the walls. You know, it was really good. It was actually really great seeing all this new environments and stuff. So, but I check it out if you have the Division and you have money to burn.